I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. We are now learning that the criminal grand jury in Washington, D.C., that has been receiving evidence from special counsel Jack Smith regarding Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records and Donald Trump's obstruction of justice, that grand jury will be meeting again in Washington, D.C. this week. This after a fairly significant hiatus where the grand jury had not met. So many had speculated what has been taking place over the past several weeks when the grand jury has not been meeting. And there has been some conflicting reporting about when the last time the grand jury met, whether it's on or around May 5th or sometime shortly thereafter. But there has been a sizable gap in the meeting schedule of this grand jury, and there had been a very significant escalation of witnesses going before the grand jury that we had been reporting about on the MeidasTouch network. And then activity kind of slowed down and then all of a sudden stopped. And what is the reason for that gap, and why is the grand jury returning right now? Well, we've given you our theories here on the MeidasTouch network, and theory number one is that special counsel Jack Smith has used this time to prepare his recommendations for the criminal indictment of Donald Trump. Under special counsel Jack Smith's appointment order, his charging decision ultimately has to be approved by Merrick Garland, United States Attorney General. We've always stated here that to the extent that special counsel Jack Smith makes the recommendation to seek these criminal indictments against Donald Trump, which we certainly think special counsel Jack Smith is going to do, we've always believed that Merrick Garland would approve those charging decisions. And we've explained that the reasons we feel that way is that Merrick Garland would not have brought special counsel Jack Smith in. Special counsel Jack Smith would not have left his job as a war crimes prosecutor, where he was very, very successful, come here to the United States to engage in this criminal investigation of Donald Trump, where special counsel Jack Smith has been threatened, his family has been threatened, to conduct a diligent investigation only for his charging recommendations to be overruled. And special counsel Jack Smith, we've been telling you from day one, has an impeccable reputation within the Department of Justice, previously leading the public integrity section within the Department of Justice. So special counsel Jack Smith makes this recommendation. I believe Merrick Garland is going to approve that charging decisions. And then special counsel Jack Smith would go again before the grand jury that's been receiving all of this evidence to then seek indictments. And preparing that charging memo would take 2 to 3 weeks at least. So that could be one of the reasons to explain the gap. Another reason to explain the gap could potentially be information that is needed from some witnesses who are still not cooperating, and perhaps this time was given to these witnesses to either try to make a case why they should get immunity, or special counsel Jack Smith's team informing their lawyers that if they don't cooperate, they are ultimately going to be charged, and giving them 2 weeks to make a decision whether they were going to cooperate or not. And I'm really focused here on about 3 people, but really 2 people who stand out the most. Number one, Mark Meadows. Okay. Mark Meadows, we have not heard whether or not Mark Meadows has gone before the grand jury. Well, we certainly haven't heard that he's testified before the grand jury. And of course, Mark Meadows was at the center of everything January 6th related, everything leading up to the January 6th insurrection. I believe that special counsel Jack Smith has been in negotiations and discussions with Mark Meadows and Mark Meadows' lawyers for Meadows' cooperation, for a potential limited immunity deal for Mark Meadows to testify before the grand jury. And special counsel Jack Smith has probably informed Mark Meadows' lawyers that If Meadows does not cooperate, there is a likelihood that the Department of Justice would criminally prosecute Meadows as well. And the other individual by the name of Walt Nauta. Walt Nauta was Donald Trump's body man, or described that way, or as Donald Trump's valet at the White House. When he left the White House, he remained one of Donald Trump's personal aides. And Walt Nauta was seen on surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago the day before the Department of Justice arrived at Mar-a-Lago, moving boxes around from the storage facility to other areas and from other areas into the storage facility. Walt Nauta was initially cooperating, we believe, after Walt Nauta was first found to be lying. Walt Nauta, I think a lot of the reports stated, had originally said he did not move these boxes. Then he was found on surveillance footage moving the boxes. He then was cooperating a little. And then I think his cooperation shut down, and his lawyers basically said either give him immunity or charge him. His lawyers are being paid by Donald Trump. And the other individual who was seen perhaps by the grand jury, but I'm curious of, is John McKinty, also one of Donald Trump's body men at first. He was removed from the White House when he failed security background checks. Donald Trump then brought him in to head the presidential personnel office, which provided all of these loyalty tests where they ended up firing people like Christopher Krebs if they were insufficiently loyal to Donald Trump leading up to the insurrection. And we know from previous reporting that new subpoenas were issued to the personnel office. And so perhaps Jack Smith's been waiting to get some of that information before doing any kind of follow-up here, at all. But I don't think that one necessarily relates to Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into the theft of the government records. So that's why Krebs, the situation with McKinty, is less at issue with the document investigation grand jury than when we're talking about Mark Meadows and Walt Nauta there. But in any event, you've got this gap in time where the grand jury has met. The grand jury will once again now be meeting in Washington, D.C., where it is very possible, folks, that by this time, Special Counsel Jack Smith has received his answer from Mark Meadows and would go before the grand jury to now seek indictments against Donald Trump for Trump's criminal conduct. And the crimes that we've been discussing: obstruction of justice, concealment and mutilation of records, violation of the Espionage Act, among other crimes that were and have been discussed by reports regarding Special Counsel Jack Smith. So there you have it. We will keep you posted as we learn more about the special grand jury, or Special Counsel Jack Smith's presentation before the grand jury this week. Of course, we'll keep you posted as we learn more. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have a great day.
Lock him up. Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment Season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.MeidasTouch.com.